a registered investment advisor.
KCUE Tucson, a Cumulus media station. The Wildcats Radio 1290 studios are brought to you by
Casino del Sol, Soul Sports, Bet Easy, Win Big, Bet Local. Arizona men's basketball plays here. This is Wildcats Radio 1290. Live from the CNWT.
From the what?
Central Northwest Tucson. Duh.
It's DK on the Sports Tip
with your host, David Kelly.
Radio. Just when I thought I was out, they drug me back in.
Featuring J.W. Madden.
Don't tell me about flip-flops, man. I'm a native.
And Cricket getting you home with traffic and weather.
Camp on Melt Lemon, not in the left lane on the freeway.
Here we go! And now, a man who has not one, but three first names, David Scott Kelly.
Rashada will take the snap, play fake, sets up, looking to throw, nowhere to go. Now he'll run it to the near side, being chased and sacked. Back at the 41-yard line, Jacob Manu. Got a man wide open to the 10, to the 5. Touchdown, Arizona. Nobody close to Tetaroa McMillan. Get a little choked up here. It's been a while.
Yeah, that's
been a while.
That's the truth.
It has been a while indeed. 6 years. Countdown is down to a little bit over 24 hours now. Arizona back in bowl life, taking on the Oklahoma Sooners in the Alamo Bowl. This time tomorrow, we'll be talking football straight with you. The Meridian Wealth Management pregame show will be getting underway at 3 o'clock tomorrow, 24 hours from now, as we get you set for the Wildcats and the Sooners from San Antonio. Welcome to the program today. A great afternoon to you. My name is David Kelly. I've got J.W. Madden with me. Cricket will be along as well. Looking forward to hearing from you today. 520-848-1290 is the number where you can get in on this program. We've got a lot in store for you. Coming up over the course of the next 3 hours, we're going to go down to San Antonio on a number of occasions, twice, in fact, to chat with folks who are down at the Alamo Bowl covering the Arizona Wildcats and the Oklahoma Sooners. We're going to check in with Jenna Fink here shortly from News 4 Tucson. She is down covering the Wildcats. Ryan Aber is with the Daily Oklahoman, or the Oklahoman, I should say. And that's the paper in Oklahoma City. The Daily Oklahoman, I believe, is the one that actually is on campus. But the Oklahoman, and he is down covering the Sooners. We will also chat with him in this hour. Lamont Lovett is going to join us from the Arizona Wildcats Radio Network. We'll talk some Arizona football with him as well. We'll also talk some hockey today. How about your Tucson Roadrunners? They're pretty hot right now. The Roadrunners have won 5 of their last 6 and 3 in a row to move up to second place in the American Hockey League's Pacific Division. So we will talk to the head coach of the Tucson Roadrunners, Steve Pontvant. That as well coming up in the 4 o'clock hour today. The Coyotes also playing good hockey. It's a good hockey winner so far here. The Roadrunners are 17-14-2. They've got a game at home tonight against the Avalanche. Beat the Avalanche a few weeks ago at the Mullet. Lost to the Avalanche in Denver. I believe it was earlier this week or last week to snap their most recent winning streak, which had reached 4 games. They're a little streaky, are the Coyotes right now. They win about 5 games in a row. They turn around and lose a few games in a row. In fact, let me tell you exactly how they've streaked. They had a 5-game winning streak. Well, let's go back even further than that. They had a 3-game losing streak, which they followed with a 5-game winning streak, which they followed with a 4-game losing streak, which they followed with a 4-game winning streak, and now they have lost 1 game in a row. That was to the Avalanche, as I mentioned. They will try to right that at home tonight at the Mullet in the Valley with tip-off coming up, or I should say face-off, because they don't use a ball in hockey. Face-off coming up for you at 7 o'clock. So if you're heading up to the Coyotes game tonight and you want to talk some hockey, we'll do that with you as well. 520-848-1290, 520-848-1290 is that number to get in on the program. We'll review our question of the day from yesterday. We'll give you our question of the day for today. And why don't we do that right now? The Wildcats are going to be playing the Oklahoma Sooners in the bowl game tomorrow. Oklahoma, 7 national championships in college football. One of the premier programs, really, in college football history. They got going under Bud Wilkinson in the 50s and the 60s, kept it going with Barry Switzer in the 70s and the 80s, had maybe a little bit of a lull, and then got back going with Bob Stoops and company, and now Brett Venables has led the club to a 10-2 season this year. But what do you think of when you think about Oklahoma Sooners football? What is that thing that triggers your mind? What is that one thing about Oklahoma Sooners football that you think about when you see that O and that U on the white helmet? Is it Billy Sims going back to the 1980s? Do you go back further than that? Is it something from the Bud Wilkinson era? I know we got a lot of Oklahoma folks that live out here in Arizona now. I know y'all grew up on Oklahoma football. I want to hear from you today. This is your bowl game as well. This is our bowl game here in Arizona. But if you grew up in Oklahoma and you're a Sooners fan, this is your bowl game too. So we want to hear from you. 520-848-1290. What is that thing about Oklahoma football? For me, it was the 80s. It was Billy Sims. It was the running backs they had. It was Marcus Dupree, allegedly to be the best prospect to ever come out of Oklahoma and wore the Sooner red and white. There's Jamel Holloway. I remember him. He was from Southern California. A lot of the guys that I went to college with at USC had played with him and against him in high school. Jamel Holloway at quarterback running that wishbone in the 1980s. Maybe it was the wishbone offense that kind of reminds you of Oklahoma football. Maybe it's the late 80s into the early 90s. Brian Bosworth, the Boz. One of the most fascinating and electric defensive players of the 1980s in college football. When everybody else was talking about offense, there was the Boz.
Most famous Mohawk?
Yeah, the most famous Mohawk in college football. Maybe that's your memory, the thing that gets you going about Oklahoma football. Maybe it's the Boomer Schooner, the Chuck Wagon, the Trail Wagon, whatever you want to call that thing that they roll out there that sometimes gets going so fast that it falls over, tips over. We've seen that a few times across the years where the Schooner got going a little bit too fast. Is it Boomer Schooner? Is it this decade? Is it who is this? Was it Sam Bradford? Sam Bradford went to Oklahoma, right? Was it Sam Bradford or Kyler Murray or I hate to say it, Baker Mayfield? Ugh. Hate to even those words come out of my mouth. Ugh. Is it one of those guys? Adrian Peterson.
I was going to say, DK, I mean, you mentioned all the quarterbacks. And I know Oklahoma, the Sooners, more famous for quarterbacks, Oklahoma State for running backs. But to me, it's got to be Adrian Peterson.
Adrian Peterson.
Just because of how physically insane and imposing that guy was in college.
I mean, there's a bunch of guys that played on the field. There's a bunch of coaches that coached on that field for Oklahoma. I mean, obviously, again, I go back to the 80s, so Barry Switzer. I mean, that was the guy that was running the show when I was, coming into my formative years and thinking about, what it meant to be an Oklahoma Sooner back in the day. But I want to hear what that is. We got to pull up right now on our Twitter page, Wildcats 1290 at Wildcats 1290. You can vote in the poll. I gave you some things to vote on, but tell us what that thing is for you. I really can only give you 4 things to vote on. But I'm sure there's a lot of things that you think about when you think about Oklahoma football. Right now, 47% say, I'll give you the three choices I gave you. I gave you Billy Sims. I gave you Brian Bosworth. I gave you Kyler Murray. And I gave you other. I had to choose between Kyler Murray and Baker Mayfield. That was an easy choice. Right now, 47% say Brian Bosworth. 35% say other. Tom Duddleston, the great Tom Duddleston, longtime sports information director, football for the University of Arizona, checks in. He says Jamel Holloway, who took over for an injured Troy Aikman. Remember that. We talk about Noah Fafita taking over for an injured Jaden DeLora. Troy Aikman a lot of people don't remember, Troy Aikman started at Oklahoma. Went to Oklahoma first. Oklahoma boy, or Texas boy, one of the two places. I think he's from Oklahoma, though.
I think Bosworth is really like timely because if you came up in the 80s, like I did, Bosworth was, he was on the cover of Sports Illustrated. He was everybody's, All-American. He was the guy that they were trying to make into the great next D lineman, right? And it was, it was Bo versus him, wasn't it? Wasn't that the whole conversation?
Bo Jackson.
Yeah, but the whole thing about Bosworth maybe being the most dominant, and clearly that didn't pan out in the NFL. But as far as a college football player, DK, he got all the headlines.
Yeah. But Jamel Holloway took over for the injured Troy Aikman. They went back to run on the wishbone, and Troy Aikman, the original portal king, went into the portal and transferred to UCLA, where he was a pretty good quarterback there, although he never beat USC, I'll tell you that. We got Troy Aikman twice. I remember those games. Troy Aikman was the guy we had to face every year when I was in college back in the day at the University of Southern California. Went on to a great career, though, with the Dallas Cowboys, winning mega Super Bowls at the next level. But who is that thing? What is that thing about Oklahoma football that resonates with you? 520-848-1290. You can call us at that number. You can text us at that number. You can jump on Twitter at Wildcats1290, and you can answer the question there. You can jump on Facebook at Wildcats Radio 1290 and put your answer in there as well. We are joined by the third member of our program. Her name is Cricket.
Greetings.
Cricket, how are you today?
Very good. How are you
we
today?
We were talking about J-Dub, just brought up the phrase mohawk.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, did you ever know or date a guy with a mohawk at all?
I probably had a mohawk in a way. Yeah, I kind of did.
Did you really?
Get kind of.
Tell us
not
back
really.
Take us back to your mohawk days.
Well, it wasn't a true mohawk, but I had like this. I got in big trouble. I shaved the sides of my head. Not a real official mohawk, but more like Cyndi Lauper style.
Oh.
So I got in big trouble. I made a mess. My mom was really mad, so I shaved both of the sides of my head. So maybe I kind of sort of had the mohawk.
So back in our day, most of the young ladies that were shaving their head that way were into punk rock. Were you a punk rocker? Was that
not
your
really?
Thing? No,
it was more like Motley Crue, Bon Jovi.
Okay,
so not punk rock.
I don't remember a lot of the hard rock young ladies doing that to their hair. I remember mostly the punk rock, like the girls that liked
Misfits.
Yeah. What was the guy?
There was some crossover there in the late 80s, like she said, Cyndi Lauper.
Yeah.
There were Punk had a very anti-society kind of thing. Anything to piss off your parents, more or less, is what that was about.
I did that.
But that turned into.
Well, clearly she did, because her mom was upset.
Yeah, some of those styles became a little bit more kind of blurred with some poppy type stuff as well. But
true.
yeah, I remember Cyndi Lauper had the kind of shaved on one side type of thing.
She did kind of. What was that one guy? The singer, the male, the punk rock singer guy. He was the most famous one. Not Danzig.
Glenn Danzig from Misfits.
No.
Like Sid Vicious.
No, gosh, it was. Oh gosh, he had a weird name. It'll come to me.
Okay,
it'll come to me here in a minute. But I cannot think of it right now.
Did he have a mohawk?
He did. He had a mohawk. He definitely had a mohawk. Not Sid Vicious. I'm thinking I'll come up with it. I'll come up with it later.
Okay.
All right. So yeah, well that's it's interesting. I'm interested. What other crazy hairdos did you have growing up?
That was about it. That was pretty bad.
How about you, DK? Any mohawks?
Yeah. What about you?
No, I had the high top fade. I had the kid and play
Kid and
fade.
play style.
But
Nice.
no, I didn't. I never had a mohawk though. No, that I don't think that would have looked good on. What was the guy, the boxer that played Rocky? What was his name? Mr.
Stallone?
T. Mr. T.
Yeah, Mr. T.
Yeah, no, that Mr. T could have that. That was not going to look good on me. All right, coming up later, Cricket's got tickets in the 5 o'clock hour. Cricket is handing out more tickets to things that you want to see.
Mm-hmm.
So be here. You gonna give us a hint? You came up with a pretty good hint last week.
How about the goals?
The goals. Yeah, I like that.
Is that okay?
The goals.
Is it sailing tickets?
Have we
Oh,
seen
are we
any-
going to go on a yacht? We're going on a cruise.
It's not. I don't think. It's not Yachtly crew tickets. I don't think.
No,
they're-
sorry.
No,
Sorry to
they're
get you
gonna
excited.
They're performing on New Year's Eve but it's up in Phoenix.
It's a regalia.
A regalia.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, Cricket will have tickets in the 5 o'clock hour. Listen for the cue to call right now. She's getting you home every 20 minutes on the 5s with your traffic and your weather.
And from the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, it's Wildcats Radio, 1290 Traffic and Weather together. Collision, Ajo and Park Avenue and Ajo Way at Campbell and Bilby until 4 this afternoon. Some traffic signal upgrade work. Officers in the intersection to direct you through at Bilby and Campbell. 42 are low, partly cloudy, 66 tomorrow and 61 now. I'm Cricket with your Wildcats Radio, 1290 Traffic and Weather together.
This report is sponsored by Wendy's Peppermint Frosty. The holidays are back, and you know what else is back? Wendy's Peppermint Frosty. So take some time for yourself with this cold and creamy treat this year. Choose wisely. Choose Wendy's Peppermint Frosty. Limited time only at participating U.S. Wendy's. Vanilla Frosty is temporarily unavailable.
It's Pachanga time. The Barstool Sports Arizona Bowl is thrilled to bring two powerhouse programs, the Toledo Rockets and Wyoming Cowboys, to Arizona Stadium on December 30th. But Pachanga Week is more than the football game. It's Tucson's own end-of-year party that doesn't stop until the Taco Touchdown at the Taco Bell New Year's Eve Downtown Bowl Bash, featuring fireworks presented by O'Reilly Chevrolet. Start your Pachanga journey and get your tickets today at thearizonabowl.com.
What's holding you back from learning the language you've always wanted to know?
Too hard.
Takes too long.
Not with Babbel. Babbel's lessons take just 15 minutes a day.
15 minutes isn't long.
Nope, and they're fun. So you don't realize you're learning a language, but you are. In 3 weeks, you're able to start having conversations. And Babbel's lessons are built around real life.
And with Babbel, it isn't hard.
It's perfect.
Start learning a new language today. Go to Babbel.com. That's BABBEL.com.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
With tens of thousands of satisfied patients across America, it's no surprise QC Kinetics gets 5-star reviews.
I'm feeling on top of the world because of QC Kinetics.
I'm able to do the things that I wasn't able to do for a long time.
I can recommend them highly. I would recommend QC to anybody.
QC Kinetics has changed my life.
I couldn't believe it. I honestly was skeptical, but the pain went from a 10 to a 0.
Real people with real lasting relief from joint pain.
QC Kinetics Regenerative Medicine